Hello, my name is Deborah. This Navica webinar will cover how to build a CMA from your search results page. There is another webinar about building a CMA that's going to cover a lot of the details that a CMA, the functionalities, the adjustments in more detail, some of the defaults and things like that. So if you would like more information on some of those things than we cover in this one, feel free to watch the other webinar called Navica CMA from Build. So this particular CMA, we're going to start from doing a search. So you can do either type in your MLS numbers, you can click on saved listings on the left-hand menu, open up a group of saved listings, check those properties and say comparison, and say full CMA and start this way. That's an option. So any page you can get to listings, so saved listings, my listings, search results, typing in numbers, just pull up the properties that you're going to want to use for your comparables, check those properties, click the comparison menu item, and then full CMA and fill that information out. We will also cover the quick comparison briefly during this session as well. But so if you wanted to do a search, do another search, take some listings, check them, and then save those listings to a saved listings folder. Then, like I said before, you can go to your saved listings and use those listings in your CMA. But we're going to actually do a search. So we're going to start from searching and search for our comps and then start from there. But however you did your searching, you could, like I said, type in the numbers, put them in a folder, just start from a search. Anything, anywhere you have results, you can begin a CMA from that point. So we're going to click on residential. And what I'm going to want to do is my subject for this particular webinar, I'm going to use an existing MLS number as my subject. I want to do a radius search for solds within so many miles of that property, and then we'll get the comparables from there. So I'm going to start by clicking on search by map. And if you don't know how to do a radius search, you're going to learn that as well. So we're going to start by typing in our subject address in this little line here that says find address. And you do need to put the city, state, or the zip code, either one, but you need something to define where you're at, because this is a national, well, a worldwide map, actually. And then hit go. Okay, that puts a star on the address. Now I'm going to go up here, and I want sold properties within that radius that have sold in the last, let's say, 2 years. And I want to go out, let me say, radius search, 3 miles, and then I come back and I click on the star. So there's 537 properties within 3 miles of that address that have sold in the last 2 years. So I want to now say apply criteria to search. Okay, the map closes and it says map coordinates set. So I want residential properties. Closed is already selected. I did that previously. I want 3 to 4 bedrooms, and I want a minimum of 2,800 square feet to a maximum of, let's do 3,800 square feet. Okay, and we want something built after the year 2000. So I think I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and start my search, and that's going to bring up the properties that match that criteria. So I have 10 properties. I'm going to look through these, and I'm just going to sort of pick some at random, but you could definitely click on them and make your selection and take your time because you're really doing a CMA and I'm pretending. So I'm just going to check some of these. 3. That one, I wish that one had a picture, but it don't. So let's go with 4. There's four good ones I'm going to use. So I found 4 comparables. Okay, now I'm going to click on comparison. If I wanted to do a quick comparison at this point, I would just put in a name, who I'm preparing it for, the subject address if I wanted to, pick a display. I want the public detail with QR code. That looks good. Let's use that one. Then I'm going to submit. So our quick comparison is going to give me my prepared for, prepared by, my low, high, average, median, and total statistics at the top. Then the data sheets of my comparables. It's got the list price and information there, and then you're selling. Let's see. Oh, I picked the wrong display. Sorry. Return to results. Let's try that one more time. Comparison. Fill out who I'm preparing it for. That's the one I meant to use. Sorry, I picked the wrong property type. All right, so this one now, it's got the sold price, the sold date, my listing information, the details of all of these comparables. So at the top of this page, I can email that, or I can simply print it out if needed. So that's your quick comparison. It's that easy. A lot of times people just want the averages and the medians. So they can just take that. If it's you've got really good comps, that's probably all you're going to need. You don't need to enter subject information and make adjustments and make it more complicated than it really needs to be. But it somewhat depends on your client. So we're going to show you the full one too. So do your search or find your listings, however you've done that. Check them. Then we choose comparison. This time we're going to say full CMA. I do have an existing MLS number for my subject. So what that means is my subject property has been listed before or is currently active, whatever it is, but it's in the MLS. So I'm going to put in the number. No letters, just the number. I'm going to name the CMA. I'm going to put in who I'm preparing it for. It's going to say prepared by me unless I need to pick someone else in my office. I want to add the subject. There's my subject address, and my subject property is residential. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. Okay, the next page, it brings over the picture of my subject and automatically fills in my subject data. As I mentioned before, a lot of these things that are sort of done, I did in the other webinar for building a CMA, but the first time you do one of these, you're not going to have all of these fields in your CMA. You will need to click on Add Edit Fields and go down the field list on the left and drag and drop the fields to the right that you want in your CMA. Address fields are over here, like street numbers, street name, direction. You don't need to add those. They'll be there automatically, but if you wanted to, you can. But just drag it over here to the right, put them in the order you want. And when you have all of the fields you want in your CMA, you do this one time. Then you say save as template and you name it, tell it to be your default, and then you save it. I've already saved a default, so I'm not going to really do that. But I could very well take things away, add more, and save a whole new template. And then any templates I have will be here to toggle between. So you can create other templates, but the first time you do have to create a template. But after that, it's optional. You can always add or remove fields and just say use selected fields for that CMA, and then it'll go back to your default every time. But that's how you add more fields here. But it's automatically filled in based on the existing listing. So if I see something's wrong, I could change it, but hopefully it's right from the agent. I can edit my setup if I need to go back and change the address or something at this point. If I want to edit default search settings, once again, that's a detail that's really covered in the other webinar in depth if you want more information on that, but you can set in, we did a search before we got started, so default search settings really aren't applicable to this CMA. Our templates, we can view our different templates and edit them from here as well, or you can do add edit fields, either one. But basically, if I did not use an existing MLS number for my subject, at this point I would just fill in the stuff about my subject and add my photo, and then I would say continue. I've already found my comps. I did that, from the beginning. So now I'm on the page that's called View and Adjust, and I can make adjustments if needed. My suggested list price is determined here, and it is the average of the adjusted price of all of my comparables. Because I haven't made any adjustments, then that's just the average of the sold price. If I had used active and sold and expireds, and I just wanted the price to be determined by the solds, I could check only include sold properties in average. But I don't have any other statuses, so that's somewhat irrelevant. But if you did, you could very well, you could include them with the average or not, but the average is your suggested list price. So I can make adjustments. I can do that 3 different ways. I can click on overall adjustments and put in price per for a bedroom or price per square foot. So I'm going to say I'm going to adjust at $100 per square foot. So I'm sorry, not 1,000, $100 per approximate finished square feet. And I'm just making that up. Basically, I had looked at this earlier and knew the average price per square foot for these homes. So that's where I got it. But, you have to know what that value is. I can't say, we can't tell you at tech support what a bedroom is worth or what a bathroom. An appraiser, another realtor, someone can help you with that, but it probably would not be us. We're not in that area to know the homes. But $100 per square foot, I'm going to submit that. It'll then adjust each comparable accordingly. My subject has 3924. This comp has 3133. So this comp has less. It took the difference, multiplied it by 100, and added that value to that comparable. So once I made adjustments, my suggested list price went way up because none of my comps had the same square footage as my subject. Another way you can make adjustments is on each individual item, like basement. You can click on that one item, that one field. So that one comp, that one comparable 1 has no basement, and I want to add, I don't know, I'm going to say $3,000 to that comparable. So I clicked on the word none, a little box came up, I typed in my value, and it then adjusted that comp. You can do that on each individual item if you would like, on each individual comp, or you can click on adjust comp 1, and a box will come up with all the fields you can enter those values for. But I find it much easier just to do them one field at a time. This page is a little busy for my liking. You can also add a miscellaneous adjustment where you click on miscellaneous adjustment and type in, something like the condition or doesn't have a storage building or something, you need to describe near power transformer. And that house probably would have sold for $5,000 more if that transformer wasn't in the backyard. So I can adjust that comp accordingly. If it was a negative number, I would have put a minus in front of it. But to add 5,000, I just type in 5,000. And that'll be on the finished CMA there. For any comps, I can add comments. And then those will show on the finished CMA on that particular one comp. So I'll show you that when we get to the end. If you want to discard a comparable, you can click on the red X to throw it out. And if you made a mistake, you can get the last one you threw out back by saying undo removed. You can't go back and get 3 back, but you can get 1. You can edit your subject data. You can add non-MLS listings. So you can go here and you can either key in by saying add new non-MLS listing, or if you've added them in the past, you can select them from here and you can have photos with those if you want, etc. So if there was a FSBO you knew about, you could go here and say add new non-MLS listing and fill in the information about that property. and then it would be in your list of non-MLS listings to use for future CMAs. You can search for more comparables, and if you do that, you have many choices. You can either use your search that you had, your baby search screen here to change your criteria and search. You can type in the numbers down here, or you can go to your saved listings folder. If you want to load the full search screen, you can say select additional comp criteria. But at that point, you can open up other search options to choose more comps, and then they'll come back and be applied here. So if you need to do that, you can add or remove fields. You can edit your default adjustments if needed. Once again, that's covered in more depth in the other webinar. You can also change the order of your comps. So once you've made all your adjustments and you see that your suggested list price is where it needs to be, and you don't have to make adjustments. I mean, it's better to not have to make adjustments. I mean, that's only rare that you should be doing that. Well, if it depends on your area, you may or may not have really good comps, but if you can find spot on comparables, adjustments aren't really necessary. Okay, so here's our finished CMA. We have a menu at the top. We can go back to view and adjust. We can add custom remarks that'll show on the cover page right down here. Let's just show you what that means. I'm trying to think of the best, what to put in there. So whatever you want to, put there, once I do that, let that refresh real quick. So that'll be like a little blurb at the bottom of your cover page. So, whatever you might want to say, tips for a quick sale, or, more about you. You can add a resume as well. Those things are under CMA and CMA settings. So here's our cover page. Like I said, let's see, we were up here. We were talking about view, add, edit, custom remarks. I just showed you where those go. You can add, view more non-MLS listings from here. You can search for more comps. You can add or remove fields. You can add or remove pages. There's the cover page, your resume. If you've built one of those, that's under CMA menu item and CMA settings. Your subject data page. You can add a seller's proceeds details by clicking there and saying edit. Then it's going to ask you, what does the seller have to pay out at closing? How much is their existing mortgage? Do they have any equity lines? How much are the taxes on the property? Is there a commission? How much commission to the listing agent, and how much commission to the selling agent? And do they have to pay for D-prep or anything, like that? So whatever the seller is going to be paying out at closing, you can fill in those dollar amounts and save that. And that was under add, remove, not fields, sorry, got click happy. Add, remove pages, and that's the proceeds. That's what we just added, and I'll show it to you in a second. Your side-by-side comparison, you can have a map of your comparables on a map. You can have graphs or charts. And there's these things called individual comp pages. I'll just put them all on there, but that's a lot of pages. So a lot of people don't like these individual comp pages. I'll show you what they are, but if you don't want them, you can just go to add, remove pages and remove them. You can edit your subject data. You can add the photo if you forgot. You can print it, save it as a PDF, or email it. So let's look. Here's our cover page. It's my subject photo. This is my office logo, my prepared for, prepared by, my customization, my agent photo and information, my resume that I filled out under CMA and CMA settings, and I just made it a default, so it'll always be there. my subject property page with my photo and details about my subject that I entered. My sold comparable stats. This is the page that's going to give you your low, high, average, etc. Break down your subject property. This is also where you would see suggested list price, but I changed mine to be blank, but normally that would say suggested list price. Your comparables with your address, city, square foot, list price, etc. And I'll show you about that, why that's blank in just a second. You've got, here's the sold comp, individual comp pages, so it'll have each comp on a page by itself. If you put any of those comments on a comparable, this is the only place they show, but it'll give you the picture, the address, the status, the price, comments, and then the data, as well as the remarks on those individual comp pages. Like I said, some people don't like those. Just go to add, remove pages, and take them out. Then we're going on down. There's more. There we go. Here's that seller's proceeds details. That tells them with this, at this suggested list price, here's your existing mortgage, blah, blah, blah. If you get a 92% offer, here's the dollar amount of that offer, and here's how much you would net, a 94%, 96%. So that's a nice little add-on to let them know what their bottom dollar will be with different offers. The side-by-side comparison, that'll show you any your subject and any adjustments you may have made. The percent you see here is the percent you changed the price with your adjustments. Then we've got the map that shows where those comps are on a map. You can zoom that in or out if needed. Then we have the bar chart, and it's going to have each comparable with a list price, sold price bar chart, and then a comparable graph that shows each property in the days on market. And then helpful hints that tells them to do different things to help sell their home faster. But any CMA you do is going to be found by going at, once you do it, either start it or finish it or it's anywhere in the middle. You can always go to CMA on the left-hand menu, and your CMAs will be listed here. You can edit them, you can delete them, you can clone them, you can view any notes that you may have added. Some of them will say add to system, and that is going to be for the ones that you manually entered the subject data for. That one I just did is the top one, and I used an existing MLS number, so I don't have add to system because that would be copying someone else's listing. But if I get the listing and I did CMA and I added the subject manually, I'll see add to system, and then that'll come up already pre-filled, and I just finish filling it out and submit it for an actual MLS number. So once again, there's a lot of things, there's most of these you probably don't need to use under CMA settings, but there are some default adjustments and default search. You can go here and add your resume. That's pretty straightforward. You can change the name of the suggested listed price field. Suggested list price field, if you want it to call it suggested sold price or average prices or market value. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. And you can also manage your templates, but that's all covered in the other webinar called CMA from Build. So that's going to conclude this CMA webinar. If you have any questions at any time on how to do anything with a CMA, or you need assistance further, please click on help. You can email us, you can call our tech support number, you can click on live chat. You can also view webinars and manuals here as well. So thank you and have a wonderful day.